All right, welcome to my presentation. Thanks for listening. So my research project was about answering the question, is brain gym an effective intervention for engagement in the classroom? It started because I began my research process by looking up just brain breaks in general. Things I found out from that research were that brain breaks were great for kids. And then students learn better when they're given the opportunity to move around and play a little bit during class, which were things that I already knew were true pretty much. But I never used brain breaks before in my teaching because um, even though I know lots of other teachers use them and people have said many great things about them, I never really liked the idea of taking away instructional time just to give the kids a break that didn't have anything to do with academics. That little loss of instructional time made me uncomfortable. But after working up here in the villages for 3 years now, I decided that maybe I should give it a try. It might make a big difference in my classroom. And so that's what this research was guided by. And so after finding that research about brain breaks in general, I started to see lots of articles about Brain Gym. And Brain Gym is a program that I'd heard of before. I didn't know too much about it, but it's a program that's existed for over 40 years. It's used in many school districts across the United States, and it's also used worldwide in lots of other countries. Um, and while I was reading this research, I discovered that many academic scholars have a problem with Brain Gym. They think it makes inaccurate claims and they do not recommend it for use, despite the fact that it already has pretty widespread use. Um, right here is the Brain Gym, the official Brain Gym website. Right here you can see um, the claims that Brain Gym makes. These are the things that the scholars have take issue with, these ideas listed right here. And I was looking at the website, and they actually, in their frequently asked questions section, they actually respond to some of the questions that academic scholars take issue with. Like right here, it talks about why isn't there more quantitative research, and why aren't there more peer-reviewed articles? And Brain Gym's response was that doing those kinds of research takes lots of money and lots of time, and those are things that they haven't been willing to put their resources into. They have research, but it wasn't, their articles and research studies have not been peer reviewed because they weren't done by a control, or there was no comparative control group in the research. And they said, for just their own program reasons, they haven't done that. So I thought it was pretty interesting that Brain Gym is aware that there is quite a bit of criticism about them, and they're attempting to respond to it. And then the other question that they answer is, isn't quantitative peer-reviewed research standard requirement for any program in the schools? That's what the academic scholars are saying. They're saying those things are requirements to recommend program use in schools. Brain Gym right here directly says no. And then they give an example of something that most schools do that doesn't have peer review. All right. So after doing all that research, I came up with a plan. My plan was to use Brain Gym every day in my classroom at the same time, and I was going to record my class and observe the on-task and off-task behavior. In addition to those observations, I was also going to give my students a survey and conduct a focus group. This is a picture of my kids doing one of the Brain Gym activity. The results were that my engagement levels stayed in the mid to upper 80s until the last few days. Then they started to creep into the 90s. The results of the survey were that 7 out of 11 students said that Brain Gym made them feel happy. Some reoccurring feelings on the survey were that they felt refreshed, they felt ready to learn, and energized after the program, or after doing the exercises. And then my focus group told me that they think physical activity is good, and that they like moving around the class and moving during class, and they think we should continue using these breaks. Conclusions from this were that Brain Gym can help improve classroom environment and student morale. Obviously, it made my students very happy. They enjoyed doing it a lot. It really improved our classroom environment. Um, Another conclusion was that there's a suggested improvement in engagement. I didn't want to say for sure that it did improve my engagement because we only had those last 2 days where we started to see some really direct improvement. And I think if we were able to collect data over a longer period of time, we would see a lot more specific results. Then another conclusion that I found was that Brain Gym's not effective with severe needs students. I have three really high needs students in my classroom for either emotional or academic reasons, and Brain Gym was not really effective for them. And I thought that was interesting because one of the research articles I read at the beginning of this project was done about using Brain Gym with highly disabled students, and that researcher also found that it wasn't effective. So my research agreed with that. And on the surveys, most of the kids who did not mark happy about Brain Gym were my students with severe needs. Um, so apart from that, though, I got pretty positive results. My kids like it. I thought it was good use for our class time. So for the time being, we're going to continue to use it, and it's going really well. And I'm glad I did this project and learned these things about my students and my teaching. Thank you for listening.